The number one problem of building a business in Africa is definitely money. So how do you build a business in Africa, somewhere like Nigeria, with zero capital, when you have no savings, you have no trust fund, you have no rich daddy's money in the bank, and you have no investor? How do you launch your idea and actually become profitable starting from zero, like nothing at all in the bank? That is exactly the question I plan to answer in this video. Now, my name is Marv Olaolu. I am a brand growth strategist and consultant for coaches, and I am currently in the business of helping consultants and coaches build 8-9-figure brands and businesses from their skills. Personally, I launched my brand in 2024, and in less than 2 years, I have scaled it into a 8-9-figure brand. And just last year, we did our first 9-figure in revenue. So yes, if I was to start again, building my business, my brand from scratch, how would I start building to become profitable, especially seeing that I came from rock bottom, no daddy's money, no nothing? How do I build a business as an African? Now, the first thing you already understand is that the African client for businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs generally, is different from the global client. In the global client, in first world countries, there are a lot of governmental infrastructure put in place to help and support small businesses, growing businesses, and even startups in their early phases. But in a place like Africa, using Nigeria as a case study, except your daddy is connected to one Odogu somewhere, you go also to run anything you want to start. Right? There is zero infrastructure, zero support, zero policy and legislation to make starting and running a business easy for entrepreneurs. So you have to understand first that you're starting out on a disadvantage, and building a business will require you understanding this exact framework and following it to the letter. Else, it's no news that 70% of businesses, startups that start in Nigeria, they close down, either from bankruptcy or from one issue or the other within the first 5 years of starting. And you might think, okay, the rest that scaled through, they are free. But no, another 25% of businesses that start close down between the first 10 to 15 years after startup. So except you want to see your business go into the grave of the millions of African businesses that have been buried, it is very important that you pay attention to the steps I'm sharing and watch this video to the very end. So if I was to start building my business, my brand afresh, once again, here is exactly how I will go about doing it. Number one, I will start building my business on a deeply felt need or problem. As at the time Apple was starting in the United States, by definitely Steve Jobs, the American client was a little bit similar to what we currently have in Nigeria and Africa. Yet it was literally just the developing countries. There were no too many governmental support and structure put in place to support businesses. And literally started out in his dad's garage, right, along with a friend. And yes, for you who know the story, you already know he had an investor friend later join him, right? The guy came as an investor, but he actually became a part of the company. But basically, the company started without so much support. The reason why that company became established and started thriving on the large scale was because it came to solve a very important problem. The problem of information, storage, and accessibility. Come on, this was a period where there were file cabinets and files and stacks and rows of files. And when you want to access any information, any data, you have to go check in from one cabinet to the other. And it came with a simple solution. The entire information that you need right on your desk, right, in a small box, the Apple II. So yes, it came with a unique tech solution to a major problem of businesses and individuals as at that time. And leveraging on that solution, the Apple company was built. So the problem that we make in Africa is too many persons start business because of Sapa, because of poverty, right? They start a business to solve their immediate problem. Meanwhile, the goal and objective of business should be to solve the problem of a majority, not your own personal problem. See, in building a business, you have to understand two things: the objective of a business and then the goal of a business. The first being the objective of a business. The objective of any business is to ensure the inflow of revenue, to make money for yourself. That's the objective. Nobody's arguing that, right? The objective is to make money. But the goal of every business is to solve a problem of a majority and to make and keep a customer. That is the goal of any and every business that will thrive and be sustained. But here in Africa, the focus is on solving our needs. So what a typical African entrepreneur has is a lot of drive and a lot of passion to solve his own financial problems. So he begins to struggle, looking for the next business he can get into, start and make money, solve his issues. Before you know, he wants to become the next Udogu, the next Bullion Van. Meanwhile, and no, that desire is not wrong, but it cannot sustain running a functional business that will thrive. This is usually the issue that comes with African businesses. They find the next available business they can start, and they start right away without considering the needs of the people. So eventually, it becomes a struggle to attract people because it is much easier selling what somebody already needs to the person than trying to convince somebody to buy something that you want him or her to buy. I would not buy an iPhone if I don't think I have a need for an iPhone. The only reason why I would buy an iPhone is because I have a need or a want for it. But you come to me and you try to sell me a weight loss drug or a weight loss medication, anything around weight loss, I would not buy, regardless of how much you try to persuade me, because I don't need it. The reason why a business struggles with sales, struggles with getting their products to perform well in the marketplace is because their product is a good product, but it's not a solution to a majority problem. So the first thing you want to start with is start with a solution. And this is why it is very important to understand that the goal of a business is to solve a problem. So the first thing you want to do is go to scout and identify a deeply felt problem. See, the more deeper a problem is felt, the much higher the people who have that problem will be willing to pay for the solution to that problem. The more deeply a problem is felt, the more income can be created from solving that problem. So start first with a heavy focus on finding problems that a majority of people have, and then build your business around solving that problem. Now, if you've already started a business, go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, is there a majority problem, a deeply felt majority problem that my business is solving? If not, you might have to re-strategize and pivot. Else, your business is at the risk of crashing. And number two goal of a business is to make and keep a customer. Now, this would now talk about the quality of solutions you now prefer. So you find a problem, and the next thing you do is you absolutely package a solution that does not last or is not worthwhile, and you begin to sell it. What you do is, once somebody buys your solution and uses it and finds different issues with your solution, it doesn't come back. And you will tell the next person. People are loud about bad products. So you have to also understand that each product you create must be created with the intention that whosoever uses this product must want to tell somebody about the value he got from this product. Good products sell themselves. And no, this is not to negate the point of marketing, advertising. Come on, what I do majorly is sales, advertisement, marketing. So there is a huge role of sales in the business building process. And I am not even negating that. Because to get the first person to use your product requires sales and marketing before it begins to tell people about it. But yes, it's important to understand that good products sell themselves. Number two, understand and use leverage. Now, the concept of leverage is a concept that is foreign to a lot of Africans, especially here in Nigeria. The mental configuring of Nigerians, Africans generally, tends to prioritize hard work over smart work. It tends to prioritize diligence, suffering, the hustle culture. We have an hustle culture here in Africa. So the first thing that you see people celebrate is how much of hard work they put into something to make it work. And yes, hard work is important. But you see, there are a lot of things that leverage would solve and give you a head start on if you learn how to use it. Now, what is leverage? Leverage is the concept, understanding the concept of leverage is very simple. It's as simple as you coming to a race. You have Mr. A, Mr. B, you have several persons, let's say 8 of us, we have to run a race. Since what we have to do is to win a race competition, the normal hustle culture of African kicks in. And you see everybody, Mr. A, Mr. B, the rest, everybody else is running around, eating the gym, trying to get their speed up. They're doing press-ups, they're doing squats, they're working hard. And there's me who understands the concept of leverage. And since it is not the Olympics, there is no rule against leverage in real life, in the business scope. There is no rule against leverage. And since it is not the Olympic, this is just an example of business, right? So since I have that understanding, I know that leverage works here. So what happens? Everybody is eating the gym, working hard. And finally, it's time to run the race. So they gather to the field or to the road where we are going to run the race. And it's a 3-kilometer race. Everybody mount their position and the race is about to begin. Guess what? I come right in, rolling with an F1, right? A Formula 1 vehicle. I come in driving a Formula 1 vehicle. And the gun is shot and people begin to run. I move. Why? I move before they even get to 1/3 of the journey. The race is over because I won the entire race. Why? I'm in a Formula 1 vehicle. I'm driving a Formula 1 vehicle. Why? That's leverage. It's an unfair advantage. It is you finding a way to create a result in the shortest time and with the easiest approach possible. Now, the hustle culture of Africans just naturally sees this as unfair. This is not right. This is 419. This is fraud. And this is one of the reasons why you keep hearing how people say that any wealthy person, he has to be doing something that is not right. But the problem is that we're taught to see leverage as not right. Meanwhile, leverage is the way to drive in business. And if your heart is already telling you that, how will you carry a F1 vehicle to where people are running on foot? That's the hustle culture, the hustle mentality of African that is making you get triggered already. If you have that mentality, you struggle a lot. Now, you have to understand that in business, what will give you the advantage? What will make you thrive? It's leverage. If you don't know how to use leverage, forget thriving in business. Forget it. You will not thrive in business. Now, what then is leverage in real life? Because leverage is not the Formula 1 vehicle. What are the leverage that you can use in business building? There are 5 types. There are 5 basic types of leverage. Number 1 being labor. And this is the most common form of leverage. You see, big companies, big businesses, they have a lot of hands. They have thousands of people working together. That's labor. They have a huge resource of manpower that is going into making the business work. So they are able to achieve much more results, much more progress in a short period of time because of the number of hands that they have available. Labor is leverage. You are going to be able to achieve much more with a team than you can achieve alone. So the first thing you have to understand in building a business is understanding the power of team. Having a team that works with you is going to help you achieve so much more, make so much more, and solve so much more problems easier and faster. So you have to understand and utilize labor as leverage. Number 2 is capital. And now somebody's already thinking, I came to this video now thinking, how am I going to get money to start my business? I think that's what they're trying to teach us. So why is this guy telling me about capital in the form of leverage? And he said I should use capital as leverage when I don't have money. Calm down. We are going there. Rest, breathe in and breathe out. But capital is a form of leverage. With capital, you can easily get labor. With capital, you can easily get resources. With capital, you can get machineries, technological tools that will help you be more productive, be more effective, produce on a larger scale, right? So capital is a form of labor, and you would need to use capital as leverage. Another form of leverage is relationship. The people you know. And somebody is already thinking, I already know that to thrive in Africa, to thrive in Nigeria, you must know somebody. Yes, that's leverage. That's leverage. And for certain persons, it is easier because their parents have done the job of networking. Their parents have done the job of connecting with the people that matter. But for some of us who are starting from this ground zero, you have no relationship, you have no capital, you have no team, you have nothing. That's literally where I started from. You have to realize that these things are forms of labor, and you have to intentionally begin to position yourself and build them. In the other steps, I will show you how to build all of these forms of labor. So calm down, chill. I just want you to understand leverage and the forms of leverage that are available, so that when we talk about these steps, you understand how they come in to driving your business forward. One person that you know can influence a policy that will help you create so much progress in a very short period of time. The next form of leverage is technology, technological tools, gadgets, especially in the age of AI. There is so much that you would achieve faster, easier, just by leveraging technology, right? And definitely some of these are going to require intense capital to afford, but you have to have it at the back of your mind. Constantly begin to think, what are tools that can help me achieve this level of progress in terms of technological tools? And finally, you have information. Information is the final form of leverage. What you know, the ideas you have, and the information that you have can be literal world-dominating tools. Ideas are powerful. And when added with information, knowing the right thing, knowing who has this particular thing, where this particular idea would fit, where this particular relationship will work, statistics and data that will guide your decision making, all of these things are very important if you're going to try it. So these are the forms of leverage, and you must learn to use all of these forms of leverage if you're going to try it. Now, currently you might be thinking, but bro, I don't have any of these forms of leverage. That's not true. That's not true. Everybody has one form of leverage or the other. You might not have 100% on that one form of leverage, but you have a certain percentage on the form of leverage. We all possess one form of leverage or another in varying degrees. Now, for you, it might be information. For me, I had information. I knew things that people would need. So I was able to build a team. First, I built myself a team of people from around the world, not just in Nigeria. I built a remote team as well as people I work with physically. And this team, I attracted them based on exchanging information. I started teaching them things that they need to know while I was leveraging on them for labor. You must learn to use one form of leverage to get the other forms of leverage that are currently lacking. You can learn to trade capital for labor, or if you're someone like me, you can trade information for labor. I started teaching people things, and I got them to work with me. They became a part of my team, and I leveraged them for labor. I currently have a team of people from different countries of the world working together with me in my brand, in my business. So that is one way you can leverage. So all you have to do is find how to use any of the form of leverage you possess to get any other form of leverage. And don't worry, we'll continue. So number 3 step that you need to take is build a community. Build a community. Adeife Adeoye is a brand growth strategist, content strategist, and freelancer business owner, definitely, who currently owns and runs 2 businesses. You have Remote Worker and you have Academy. And the reason why she was able to launch and start up her business as a 24-year-old here in Nigeria and make millions and millions in revenue is because she had built a community on Instagram and TikTok. We are currently in the age of community building. In fact, in Vusi's words, the brands and businesses that will thrive the most in this century must be built around community. And what do I mean by community? Community is a group of people with similar interests who are looking towards achieving a common goal. That's literally a community. So for someone like me, I have a community of people who are interested in attracting big money clients. So they are freelancers, and their interest basically, or the problem they are looking to get solved is the problem of landing and attracting big money clients. So I currently built a community around that by constantly talking about it. Because for me as a freelancer, I had learned to attract big money clients for myself. So I simply talk about it. And people with this interest begin to navigate around me. Now, how I was able to raise and build my team was the fact that I had people who had listened to me over time and come to follow me so much that when I announced open positions for volunteers in my team, because my team started out as volunteers, I had a rush of people coming in telling me they want to work, because I even had to weed out people. I had to tell several persons, based on qualifications and requirements, we would not be able to proceed with you, but you're a valued member of, the way we package it now, definitely package it. And if you're like that watching this video, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being a part of my community. I appreciate the love, the support, and I know we will still have chance to do great things together. Definitely the team will expand and we always need ends. But yes, community. It was through community that I was able to get my team. That's labor. And not just that. most of the time, the people that will be interested in your products will most likely be your community member. Imagine you want to go into production of technological gadgets. When you're constantly talking about different gadgets, you're analyzing gadgets, talking about gadgets, what you do is you attract a community of people who are interested in gadgets. And by the time you begin to sell out gadgets, you already have people who have that interest. So what will happen? They'll naturally just buy from you. They will naturally just buy from you. So what makes you even sell? What makes you attract customers, clients? Is community. It's community. If you don't have the community of people who have the need that your business is trying to solve, then you would have to either go out there to pay another person to use his community to sell your products. That's what is called affiliate marketing. That's what is called influencer marketing. Where you go pay an influencer who has your target audience, who has the kind of people who are going to be interested in the product that you sell. You pay him to market to his audience. But you, while you're starting your business, start building a community already. Start talking about the things that would interest the kind of people that you want to sell to. You do fashion, open an Instagram profile and talk about fashion. What happens is you begin to attract fashion enthusiasts, people who are interested in fashion. They begin to come around you. And that way, what naturally happens is that you create a market for yourself. You create people who might be interested in joining your team, and you definitely attract people who are going to be willing to buy your services or the products that you sell. Build a community. You will not thrive as a business if you don't build a community. Except you have the capital to leverage on other people's community. But if you don't build a community, that's the only way you're going to thrive. And the earlier you start building a community, the better for you. Having a community will open you up to opportunities and relationships that you never imagined could come your way. I know this practically. And even at my small level, I have been able to work with persons I never knew I would ever be able to work with. Probably, I knew I would definitely get to work with big people, but probably in the future. But because of building a community, one person leads me to another person leads me to another person, and before you know, I was working with persons outside the country, in Dubai, in the UK, in the United States, and all because of community. Somebody in my community knows somebody abroad who has a company, I would need my help, and just like that. So build a community. Build a community. Your community is going to be the source of your clients. Community, very important. And final thing you need to do is raise capital, raise funds. How do you raise funds? Number one way to raise funds is get a job. Most entrepreneurs don't like to get this, but I'm telling you, it's the truth. If you are going to start and run a business, especially when you have no money, okay, go and get a job. Get a job. Then use your job to fund your business. That's basically what I did. I got a job. Got a 9 to 5. I was going to work 9 to 5, using my salary to fund my business. Currently, I still have a 9 to 5 job. I still do a 9 to 5 job. I am currently a brand growth strategist at a corporate brand, while I also build my consulting and coaching business, working with my team. And yes, very soon I will quit. But what gave me the capital to launch and start out? Because I started hiring people. I've been hiring people since 2020, since last year. Right? I have people on payroll. And as at the time I had people on payroll, some of the time it was my salary that went into handling my own expense and even paying some of my staff. And this is another reason why business is crash. Because a business is just starting. You are beginning to eat the profit of the business. Why? Because you don't have any other source of sustenance. You don't have any other means of sustaining yourself. So you eat the profit that you go into developing the business. You eat it up. Get a job. Get a job. Let that job sustain you. And also even go into building a business. So the first thing you want to do is get a job. Dust your buttocks. Dust your certificate. I want to get a job first. While you're also running your own business. I guess it's going to be difficult. What are you saying? Even up till now, the time is currently past. The time is currently to 8. I am shooting this video at 8. I have been in the office working at my job from 8 in the morning till 5. After that, I am here shooting this content. Why? I'm building my community. Why? Because I am also doing this exact same thing I am teaching you. Because the first place I built my community was on LinkedIn. That's where my team came from. That's where most of my clients that I've worked with, in fact, all of the clients I've worked with, aside referrals. The next thing, use your circle of influence. Use and grow your circle of influence. There are 2 ways to get money from people. Either affection or interest. Affection has to do with friends and family, people who are interested in your progress, right? You can source from one or two from friends, from your brothers, from your family members, and you need to support your business. Don't be too proud. There is no self-made man. You need the contribution of people in your life to move forward. So it can be a brother, an uncle, an aunt. Get some one or two. Add it to the money from your job. You need to run some things. Grow your business. Then interest. This has to do with strangers. People who might actually even know you, but they are not affectionate towards you. So at this point, you're thinking about proposals. What can I then do for this person that will make this person interested in me enough to want to give me money? Now, I spoke about Steve Jobs. The investor he got was not an investor in the Nigerian investor terms, where you're looking for one rich politician to give you money and then they carry your board and they dictating things. This thing I literally just said, let me talk so much. Real life example, where they literally crippled the company and the company is unable to move forward because let's just do stories. But really, when you go and get one big man investor, he begins to dictate the direction of the company. And come on, Steve Jobs has this same exact problem. In fact, he got voted out of his own company before he eventually came back when it was obvious that the company was not moving forward without him. He got voted out of Apple. Then he went to start Next. But eventually he had to come back to Apple because Apple was nothing without Steve Jobs. He was not doing well. It was not selling and it was not progressing without him. So yes, you have to understand that getting funds from big man investor, especially for the startup, can be very risky. So it's important to find people who you can propose something to and get some piece of money from. And now, while I would advise against starting a business strictly on investors' money, sometimes you might need them to scale your business. I would recommend that you never start on investors' money, but you can scale with the investors' money. And it's very important that you have legal counsel for this. You get legal counsel. Have somebody who is giving you legal advice, and let the person not be a wacky person. Let the person knows his job and have contracts, written signed agreement that guides your agreement with any investor. Let your lawyer be there to explain all of the things to you. If not, you get voted out of your company. You might not be voted out of your company. Only that you are the one doing all of the work and you're getting peanuts in returns from the company that you are the one building. Your idea, your sweat, your labor. Yet the major share of the income goes to somebody else. Why? You got money from him. You need legal advice when you're navigating working with an investor. But yes, this is the point of proposals, drafting proposals, going out, pitching your ideas to people, and not your idea, your working company. Like I said, don't start a company on investors' money. Gather money from your job and from your circle of influence first before you go pitching to an investor. For me, I've never gotten money from an investor before. It's all been from me. I always look for how to raise money from myself. I have also listened to someone like Adefe, who currently owns around 2 businesses that are doing millions and millions a year. She said she has not gotten an investor. She has not used an investor before. All of the money that she used to run her business came from herself and definitely friends and family in one way or the other. So if you must use an investor, have legal advice, legal processes, legal documents guiding all of the processes. Else, hey, you will cry. Don't let me talk too much. This is my mouth. But I would, with the love of God, very important, right? And finally, you can get from the government. Yes, right here in Nigeria, there are grants. There are government funds. It's just that all. You are not connected. You are not on the inside. You might not hear about these things. So it's very important. But if you can find your way to get connected with certain persons, with the right persons, you will access certain level of funds, government funds. Here in Nigeria, a lot of other countries, but I'm sure of Nigeria, certain persons you get connected to, you access funds, you access grants. Very possible. Look out for these kind of things. Look out for these opportunities. Don't completely turn a blind eye to them. I know that to the common man, they are almost non-existent. But also put your eyes out there, right? Intentionally make connection with certain kinds of persons that can give you access to information, capital, and yes, information can be information, submitting your proposal to certain places, being at certain places that will help you attract certain government funds. That is important. Your relationship. Grow your circle. Grow your circle. Don't just be hanging out with low-life people. Intentionally place yourself in certain rooms where you can connect with people who can advance your career. These are the foundational steps that you must take running and building any business if you want to be sustainable in a place like Africa. And finally, step number 5, get basic understanding on communication, sales, marketing, and branding. Get basic understanding. Understand these concepts and understand them well. You don't have to be an expert. It's good if you can become an expert. But you don't have to become an expert. You only have to understand these concepts in line with your business and understand them well. Sales, marketing. Marketing has to do with the entire process of taking a total stranger, somebody who doesn't know you from Adam, and taking that person into somebody who now knows you, is interested in you, and trusts your brand enough to give you money in exchange for a service or a product. That is turning a stranger into a customer. That's the entire process of marketing. From awareness to interest to trust to action. That's marketing. Then sales is the end point of marketing. That's where you convert a lead into a customer. So you need to understand these two things. Begin to watch videos on sales and marketing. You have to understand them well. Understand branding. Understand community building. Because at the act of branding is community building. What branding actually basically is the way people perceive you and associate with you. So branding and community building, understand it well. And finally, communications, because that's what is going to help you in proposing your ideas to others, making other persons susceptible to your ideas, interested in things that you have to offer, right? And that is why you want to subscribe to this channel, because basically that's what I do. I talk about branding, I talk about communications, I talk about business building, I talk about sales, I talk about marketing. That's basically what I am committed to talking about. So go subscribe. It doesn't cost you nothing to subscribe. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the contents that I share. And with doing all of this, there is no way you will not build a business that thrives here in Africa. And the final thing I want to say is you have to also understand that you will make mistakes. Sometimes you look like you are not making progress. Sometimes you have to pivot into something else entirely. Sometimes you might not have to pivot into something else. But sometimes you have to pivot into something else. What matters is that you are constantly progressing, learning and making progress. And you are building something at every single time. Never stop building, never stop progressing, never stop learning. That's the only way that you try, because what actually builds a business is not just strategy, it is the mind of the leader and the team around you. So very important, very important. I hope you learned so much from this video. My name is Marv, I'm your coach, and I will see you in the next video. Subscribe and don't miss out on such wonderful videos. Get it? Cheers.